And hello again. And this is going to be segment number 2, take number 22. I screwed up the first 19 of these things. Okay, here we go. Segment number 2, we're going to give you some juicy pieces of information that you may or may not be able to use. But either way, the name of the book that you can read all about this is Angels on the Ark. It's located at www.angelsontheark.com, and as you can see, the orange circles are what I depict as the seed pods, or the God pod, and or the evil seed of death. Moving past that relatively quickly, these are the angels, and although it's redundant from segment 1 or chapter 1, not everybody saw chapter 1. The angels are located in a scarlet type red around the seed pod, which is the God pod, which has the pyramid inside it, and the evil seed of death, which has the eagle inside of it. And when you turn the eagle upside down, what you are actually seeing is a perfect depiction of the devil that has a war bonnet on his head, and also a representation of the 44th POTUS, which is going to cause, or be the cause of, at least 2 large detonations, possibly nuclear, certainly in retaliation for something that America has done to another country, and probably will happen before the end of the first term of his presidency. I don't know what it is. All I do know is that by the prophecies depicted in the book of Revelation, and what I see is that I believe there will be some sort of a detonation. And I can't tell you if it will be nuclear or not. Okay, moving past that, we have a little bit of proof as to what I am saying is quite possibly true, in that the book of Revelation, the Bible, and everything in it was written before time itself began, and that there is a contiguous society that has been in existence since before the building of the Great Pyramid. Part of that society is represented as the great horned owl, and there you have a 2.5 inch by 3/4 inch high great horned owl staring you in the face on the back of the $1 bill for 75 years, and no one has ever been able to see it for what it is. I'll zoom in on his face because this camera seems to take some good pictures. I'll zoom back out. His wings cover the entire top of both seed pods. But the interesting thing is, just as an owl can see in the dark and is a hunter, so can a bat. And when you turn this pictograph upside down, you have a bat. And I don't know why I am the only person on the planet Earth of the 300 billion pairs of eyes that have looked at the $1 bill and is able to see these things, but I am telling you these things exist. A bat with the orange wings, an owl opposite the bat. Now, the owl is also part of that Bohemian society that all the evil politicians and presidents and all of those people that are supposed to be so bad, those bad, bad people. Those bad, bad people have been running this world for the last 50,000 years. The bloodlines that people spoke about, they're all true, my friends. It's all true. Here's proof. Here is the totem pole. Notice the large diamond at the bottom? That's an old representation of a power symbol from 6,000 or 7,000 years ago. Notice the face at the top, which were once what I called the cherub's eyes. And then notice in the center the owl's faces. Hard to see this stuff. But if you have a good camera and a steady hand, that sure does look like an owl to me. But it could just be an evil face. But it is a totem pole with a power symbol at the bottom. And then again, this could be the mouth, and these two pieces of eyes that are parts of the eyes of the men spoken about in the book of Revelation as the face of a man. Notice that his eyes have beams, what would be considered light beams, running up Now, if that doesn't look like a man, as spoken about in the book of Revelation, chapter 4, verse 6, face of a man, but not a man. And there just happens to be another one on the other side. Okay, but now, what about that beast that looks like a calf or looks like an ox? Or could be an ox or a calf? I think I'm looking at an ox and a calf right there. Moo! I'm thinking that that's an ox and a calf. I'm thinking if I flip it over, it could be an ox or a calf and an ox. But I'm thinking that I'm looking at what I'm looking at. The face of a calf. The face of a man. Now if we turn those men's faces upside down, then all of a sudden they become Egyptian men with long chins. They still have eyes, they still have a mouth, but now their eyes, what was once their eyes, becomes a long chin from either direction. But more to the point, where we started with the owl, here's the other side. Now that looks like an evil face. And you can tell it's the other side because the diamond isn't there anymore. Now, I'm gonna zoom in on this and give you that evil face slash owl. And then I'm going to turn it upside down and I'm going to show you something really interesting. It took me years to figure out why this thing existed. But look at the men's faces. It looks like they're blowing wind. Actually, they're blowing a horn in the middle of the splice. But once again, if you pull it out a little bit, you see that evil face there? Why does that stuff exist? I could tell you, but then you wouldn't read my book. Animal that looks like a calf or an oxen. There it is. Revelations chapter 4 verse 6. Face of a man. But not a man. The four beasts. Face of a man, but not a man. The four beasts, one that looks like an oxen or a calf. One that looks like a lion. Believe me, I could make it look like a lion, but we have to fold it a little differently. And here we go. There's a little bit of a different fold, but not the lion. You'll have to read the book if you want to see the lion. Now look at that. There's a bigger owl. Or a bigger evil face. Now if you turn it upside down, it gets real interesting. because once again the men look like they're blowing into a horn, and by definition the number ones are horns. I won't tell you how, but I'm telling you it is. And that at the bottom there again looks like a small owl. Of course, if we look at this, now it's really starting to look like an oxen. And the same thing from the other side. Now I could make this look like a lot of things. But why am I the only person on earth to ever have seen this? That's a good question. Sometimes that question, for many years, that question scared me. Because when I showed people these things, they just used to look at me like, how did you find this stuff? And if I told you how I found it, you'd think I was crazy. So, if the Lord God didn't put this stuff on since the beginning of before Genesis, why did he choose to put a perfect depiction of a cephalopod, aka the vampire bat, when you fold it to this methodology? And in fact, once again, the vampire bat or a giant cephalopod. And I could show you a nautilus as well. But what we are looking at here represents an entity or creature that has been in existence for about 500 million years, or just about the amount of time since the Cambrian age when things changed. I did it again. I did it again. How come this thing doesn't have a clock on it? Let's shut it off.